We try not to eat a lot in one day. Even though most of us are ill or hungry, we have to be careful with our food.
Did you know there are currently millions of children in the UK going hungry right now?
Hundreds of families outside London are sending their children to school without food because they couldn't afford school meals or packed lunch.
It's just heartbreaking. I find it so frustrating that we're supposed to be living in one of the richest countries in the world, so we like to say.
But we can't put clothes on children's back or put them in good schools or get children with special educational needs the teachers that they require.
Child poverty in England is at the highest level since 2002, but what's the government doing about it?
You're telling me we're in the middle of a cost of living situation and people are struggling to put food on the table as it is, and they want to take away free school meals?
You are angry that a child is being fed, an innocent child, a child that may be living in poverty, and you are angry that they're going to be fed a meal.
In a country where prisoners get free meals, MPs get free meals.
7,400 a year. If they earn more than 7,400 a year, they couldn't get these things. That is austerity. That is children suffering. 35% of the children in this country are suffering.
Welcome back to Brit Rants, where we say what the politicians won't. Today's topic, child poverty in Britain, something that should never exist in a so-called developed country. In 2025, children in the UK are going to school hungry, skipping meals, living in damp, freezing homes. Parents are working themselves into the ground and still can't afford proper food, clothes, or heating for their kids. The government finds billions for war, fraud, and VIP contracts. But when it comes to feeding our children, they tighten the purse strings. This is more than a crisis, it's a national shame. So if you're tired of seeing Britain's kids suffer while the elite live large, hit that subscribe button and let's rage together. Did you know there are currently millions of children in the UK going hungry right now? A food bank local to me has gone from supporting 300 children every week to supporting 1,500 children every week, which is going to cost them a massive £45,000 just to feed them during the summer holiday alone.
Hundreds of families outside London are sending their children to school without food. The study by the Food Foundation found that of the families that didn't have access to free meals, 16% had to send their children to school without food because they couldn't afford school meals or packed lunch. Child Poverty Action Group found that at least 900,000 children living in poverty in England do not have access to free school meals due to the thresholds set by the government. The same government that get their meals for free. Make it make sense.
How can Labour keep going from one extreme to another? And in one breath, they make themselves look really good to everyone by announcing that they're going to give free breakfast clubs so parents can go to work and children get that most important meal in of the day. And then yet on a second breath, they're announcing that they're making £500 million worth of cuts in the education system, which includes free school meals for infants. Just have a listen to this.
Brit Phillipson is the school secretary, the education secretary, and she's the one who suggested cutting school spending by £500 million and ending universal free meals for infants. This is part of negotiations with the Treasury before the spending review. This would affect children in England. She's also offered to axe funding for free period products, sanitary towels, other period products for girls in schools, and for dance, music and PE schemes. Do you think...
How can a woman actually sit there and make cuts to free period products? As if some young girls do not suffer enough. And also making the cuts to the free school lunches for infants, considering she will know full well that that is some children's only meal of the day. Because this government has put so many people into poverty, they can't even afford to feed some of their children. Just think how many young children and young girls are now going to suffer because of these cuts. Let me know what you lot all think about this in the comments.
Child poverty in England is at the highest level since 2002, but what's the government doing about it? In England, 4.45 million children live in poverty, which is almost a third of all children. And it's getting worse. So the most recent statistics that we had from the Department for Work and Pensions found that this had risen by 100,000 children in a year. This isn't for lack of hard-working families who are trying really hard to provide for their children. 69% of children that are in poverty live in families where at least one adult is working. Families predominantly suffer from a lack of affordable housing. Over the years, less and less social houses have been built, whilst the private sector with the really high rents has expanded. And the cost of living crisis didn't help either, with the cost of energy increasing by 36% and the cost of food increasing by 29%. All of this has dragged more and more families and children into poverty. The thing is about poverty is we know how to solve it. You give families more money or you make things cheaper. And to be one of the richest countries on earth and have such high levels of child poverty is, in my opinion, shameful. You may remember that the last Labour government made huge progress on tackling child poverty. And many have been asking whether and when Starmer will step up and do the same. Calls to scrap the 2-child limit have intensified. This is the rule that means families can only claim child tax credit and universal credit for their first 2 children. It's estimated that lifting that cap would lift 250,000 children out of poverty overnight. The Prime Minister said that he would consider scrapping the limit, and we've been waiting to see whether it would be a recommendation in the government's child poverty strategy, but the publication of that was recently delayed. Some were angry at this delay, others felt it made sense to push the strategy towards the autumn to align with the budget. Either way, we got some good news today when the government announced that they were expanding free school meal eligibility to children and families who receive universal credit. This equates to about 500,000 more children being able to receive free school meals and will lift 100,000 children out of poverty, which, if you remember from earlier in the video, is about the amount it's risen in the last year. It ensures that children will get one hot meal every single school day, which for some children, particularly the 150,000 homeless children in temporary accommodation, might be that only hot meal that they get that week. Ensuring that children have access to good, nutritious food improves their educational attainment and will save parents about £500 per year. Now, this is a brilliant step and one that I'm really supportive of, but there is still more to do. First of all, parents have to apply for the support. It's not automatic, which means many families who are eligible and would benefit from it may still miss out. They also have only expanded free school meals, not the pupil premium funding, which is the extra funding that goes to schools to help support disadvantaged pupils. Schools are already under intense financial pressure. We'll be waiting to see whether perhaps the pupil premium funding will follow. The eligibility for free school meals is still extremely low. A household income of £7,400 per year pre-tax, pre-benefit, and hasn't risen with inflation. This, along with the 2-child limit, definitely needs to be looked at if the government's serious about tackling child poverty. We'll have to wait and see if any of this ends up in the government's child poverty strategy. But until then, this is a really good step forwards that will benefit 500,000 children.
Every single year in Liverpool, 26 children don't even reach their first birthday. And that's because of deprivation and poverty. But what we're seeing in Liverpool is now starting to become symptomatic of what we're seeing across the UK, where child poverty has reached its highest level in 20 years. In fact, for the first time under a Labour government, it's expected that there'll be more children in poverty at the end of the Labour government than at the beginning. Isn't that a shame, a stain on our society? The 6th largest economy by GDP, with billionaires with a collective net worth that is greater than the GDP of Switzerland. But we can't put clothes on children's back or put them in good schools or get children with special educational needs the teachers that they require. And at the same time, you've got a Labour government talking about restricting disability benefits, about cutting them, freezing them for people who need them most. About 50,000 children going into poverty as a result of these changes too. Why? What's it all for? What will it achieve? And if you'd like to learn about how people are challenging this system, about pushing back against this idea, perhaps lifting the 2-child benefit cap that could be paid for with just a 2% tax on assets over £10 million, then see the caption down below.
Excuse the state of me, I've just came out of the shower, but your comment was too important to ignore and I wanted to reply to it. I agree with every single thing you've written. In fact, the thing that prompted me to make that video in the first place was the response of the general public to the government saying that all children with parents on universal credit will get a free school meal. And the response to that has been abysmal. And I just don't understand how we have come to this point in society where we're angry at children being fed. You can think what you want about the parents, what you think they should or shouldn't be doing, but the point is, you are angry that a child is being fed, an innocent child, a child that may be living in poverty, and you are angry that they're going to be fed a meal. How have we reached this point in society? How?
England is actually a trap, because why did I get told to vote Labour? Because Tories were so bad, but now Labour are considering taking free school meals away from infants. In a country where prisoners get free meals MPs get free meals. And not only do MPs get free meals, they can eat whatever they want and claim it back. They can literally go to the Ritz and claim it back if they want to, I think. But children can't get free school meals. Poor children that are forced to go to school. I don't get it. If they're forced to go to school and they're told off for not going to school, but they have to pay for meals, what happens if, you know, towards the end of a month, there's a parent who can't afford to pay for the school meal, but also if they keep their child off school, they're going to get a school fine? So it's like a lose-lose situation. If I keep my child at home to, you know, feed them whatever it is that they've got at home, you know, things that aren't able to be put in a lunchbox, then they get the fine. If they send their child to school with no meal, then end up getting into debt. Like, you shouldn't be in debt to the school that your child is forced to go to because you have to go to school in England. I don't get it. What are the English public actually meant to do? Because who can you vote for anymore? Not that there's even, you know, a chance to vote Labour out. This isn't Labour, is it? This is my first experience of Labour. I'm so young. This is really my first experience of Labour, and I'm so disappointed. So disappointed. We fumbled letting Corbyn go them years ago. We fumbled.
Let's talk Labour. What the actual... So I'm reading, like, these things, obviously, and now they're trying to say they want to stop free school meals. Excuse me? So there is children out there that rely on these free school meals, and now they're telling me they're taking it away. After already putting out there that they want to stop disability payments and telling everyone, you know, people who are in wheelchairs and things, you need to go to work. Like, this is actually crazy. Like, I'm actually shocked. I don't know what went through anyone's mind to vote Labour, because honest to God, I knew this was going to happen. I remember the last time they were in charge and how bad it was. But everything they have literally said has been a load of shit. They have lied, and they're literally destroying it. You're telling me we're in the middle of a cost of living situation and people are struggling to put food on the table as it is, and they want to take away free school meals when they want to put our children there. They're telling us our children have to be there. They're telling us, your children not there, we're going to fine you, but your children can be there and starve because we're not feeding them no more. I'm sorry. I'm already annoyed that they trying to put in place, taking away Christmas and Easter celebrations, and now they want to starve our kids too. People in prison who are in there, murder, you know, the lot, get better care from the government than our own little children. What the does that go to show? Nah, get this geezer out. He needs to be out. He's so shit. I'm already annoyed with him over the council tax situation. I just can't actually, I'm actually gobsmacked. I feel so bad for them poor little children that don't really get fed at home, or their parents are struggling, and now they want to force their kids to be in school or fine them and then take away their food. Nah, that's a joke.
It absolutely blows my mind that the people that voted in the Labour Party, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, actually think they care about our children and this country. You see, the system is already broken, and we've got people like Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer that are running this country into the ground and putting children into poverty. They seem to have money to put into wars in Ukraine. When it comes to our children in the United Kingdom, we would rather put them into poverty. What does that tell you? I mean, this is the change that you all voted for, and I hope that you're happy. This is not stupid from the Labour Party. This is not incompetence. This is all by design, folks, and you should be knowing that now if you've woke up a little bit. I mean, to think that we've got another 4 or 5 years of this party, and this is all part of the big plan to make us reliant on them. It's all part of the plan, and we all sink. Always remember that. But to push an estimated 50,000 children into poverty is just evil. You know, Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, I hope you're happy with yourselves. It looks like Labour have joined the Tory party. But guys, let me know what you think of this, and most of all, make the rest of your life the best of your life.
We try not to eat a lot in one day. Even though most of us are ill or hungry, we have to be careful with our food. a food place, because we don't have a lot of money. We always go there to get a bit more food. We go there for free. You don't have to pay to get that food, but you do have to pay to go in.
We go there because we don't have a lot of money to buy food and drink. So that place is helping us a lot.
It's one of these, and one of those.
Given a token with a number on. And once your number is called, then you can go pick some food from like each group. So like there's different groups like bread and yogurt and cake.
Fruit and frozen stuff.
I think parents do worry about money quite a bit because sometimes we do struggle to buy food a bit, and it's very hard when you don't have very much money. I think I want like people with more money to understand what it's like with less money. Like I want them to understand that it's difficult. People with more money can help people with less money. So, because like we're all equal and stuff.
This government is truly a joke, guys. It's just absolutely getting me down more and more. Look at this, right? Basically, just in Yorkshire, more than 300,000 children in Yorkshire are living in poverty. That's just in Yorkshire. That's not far off 500,000, guys. If you round it up, that's nearly 500,000. Yeah, it's 200,000 off, but come on, let's be fair. Let's not hesitate about numbers here. There's also a lot of people in poverty that these are probably not counting. Now, this needs to change. We cannot have this. I don't want my child bringing up in a generation of absolute poverty. This is getting worse and worse. This government should have been making things better for the working people, but then this is literally what they are doing. They are literally balancing the books and trying to get money back by destroying public services and taking money straight out of the poorest of the poor, when really they should be taxing the rich more, taxing corporations more. There's even lots of rich corporations saying they'd happily pay more tax. Yet, apparently this government still wants to literally attack and tax the poor more than anyone. What is going on here, guys? This is not a government for the people. They lied.
How did you not know this? Since Labour came out saying that all children whose families receive universal credit will now get free school dinners, became very apparent to me. And none of yous knew that they took these things away from benefit claimers. Not just free school dinners, no, prescriptions and dental care as well. Now, the cut-off for winter fuel allowance is now £35,000 a year. Do you want to know what the cut-off was for benefit claimers to get free school dinners for their children, dental care and prescriptions? 7,400. 7,400 a year. If they earn more than 7,400 a year, they couldn't get these things. And that is still the case with prescriptions and dental care. But unlike the winter fuel allowance, which was just cash shoved into people's bank accounts, benefit claimers never touched this money. It went straight to the schools so their kids could have dinner. It went straight to the pharmacy so they could get the medication a doctor said they needed. It went straight to the dentist so they could get dental care. But that's okay. That didn't cause you outrage. That didn't cause you outrage. They've been doing cuts to disability benefits since 2010. 15 years of constant cuts to disabled people. You're perfectly fine with that because they're not over the age of 65. 15 years of cuts to children. Perfectly fine with that. No outrage to that at all. Did you know the average height of 5-year-olds has decreased by over 5 centimetres since 2014? That is austerity. That is children suffering. 35% of the children in this country are suffering. The UK was found unlawful for its treatment to the disabled in 2017, and it's only got worse since then. No one cared about that. Not one person spoke up. But you're all up in arms now because pensioners lost £200 given to them once a year that wasn't means tested. The entire UK is going to shit because we are protecting a generation that has always voted against everybody else's best interests. The majority of pensioners voted for Brexit. The majority of pensions agreed with the 2-child cap. The majority of pensioners agreed to cutting and making PIP harder to claim. The majority of the houses owned in the UK are owned by pensioners. The most expensive benefit and the most claimed benefit is the state pension. The NHS is mainly used by pensioners. We have an ageing population and it's only going to get worse, especially when you pander to every demand they make. And I have had enough, because I will never vote against the best interests of my children or my grandchildren. So I hope to God that you have a bloody good excuse why you've been doing it for decades.
According to the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, 28% of children in Wales live in poverty. Now, where I live in Blaenau Gwent and Rumney, that figure is even worse at 33%. That's 1 in 3 children in Blaenau Gwent and Rumney currently living in poverty. That's just crazy to me. It's just heartbreaking. I find it so frustrating that we're supposed to be living in one of the richest countries in the world, so we like to say, and yet that amount of children in our country are living in poverty. And do you know what's even more terrifying and should be more of a wake-up call for Welsh Government is that, according to the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, child poverty rates in Wales are supposed to increase to 34.4% by 2029. That's the highest in the whole of the UK. Whereas in Scotland, they're the only country in the UK that will actually see a decrease in child poverty rates by 2029, whilst ours is going to increase to 34.4%. And the main reason that Scotland is seeing this decrease is because the Scottish Government is actually acting and trying to, create policies and make measures that will reverse child poverty. In Scotland, they have a Scottish child payment. They're creating policies that are going to reverse the 2-child cap. They also have powers over their welfare in Scotland as well, whereas in Wales, we have none of these powers, which means that policies like Scotland have enacted are so much harder for us to do here in Wales. Welsh Government have preached time and time again that they want to devolve welfare to Wales. I think it was a commitment actually in their manifesto. I can't remember which manifesto it was. I know it was part of the cooperation agreement anyway. But nothing's really happened. I just find this whole lack of movement not only frustrating, but just kind of really unacceptable. And it's ironic to me when they say, it's not possible to devolve welfare, or, that there's no real movements on it, when it's literally a Labour government in charge down in Westminster. So why is it not possible? Surely you can just speak to your boss and your colleagues and encourage them or persuade them to devolve welfare to Wales. Because whilst they're there, twiddling their thumbs and not really doing anything to help tackle child poverty, this government won't even put interim targets in their child poverty strategy now to ensure that whatever they are doing in Wales to tackle child poverty works. We have countless children in Wales who are literally starving. So yeah, to put it quite bluntly, quite frank, I just think Welsh Government really need to pull their finger out their arse and get a grip and actually create policies and, have interim targets and just do something, literally do something to help tackle this crisis. Because if they do carry on what they're doing and just sit back and do nothing, then like I said, by 2029, they will basically be allowing 34% of children in Wales to live in poverty, which is just a disgrace, really. It's disgusting.
A new study just released suggests that 1 in every 3 children is living in poverty, in addition to the idea that 25% of adults are also living in poverty. What this will likely mean is renewed calls for an end to the 2-child benefit cap, as well as a proper strategy to deal with poverty in the UK, which is on the rise. Meanwhile, living wages have stagnated, and people are increasingly becoming frustrated as some politicians point to issues like immigration as being the reason why their living standards are declining, as opposed to falls in productivity and a general unwillingness to perhaps challenge a culture that has seen billionaires amass more wealth than the GDP of Switzerland. But what do you think? What's the solution here? How do we really get rid of poverty in the UK? Have your say down below.
The UK government hate children. Do you think child poverty is just bad luck? I've got to tell you, you're wrong. It's by design. Children and young people from underserved and global majority communities suffer the most. Right now, 4.5 million children in this country are in poverty. That's 9 children in every class of 30. 1 in 5 children provide unpaid care to parents or siblings with disabilities. 49% of global majority children live in poverty, compared to 24% of white children. Years of austerity measures have slashed community services, affecting underserved communities far more than others. And the ongoing attack to the benefit system is only going to make things worse, along with the failure to implement free school meals for all children. Children and young people are our biggest asset, and we are failing them horrendously. If you're ready to challenge the narrative and build communities built on inclusion and equity where all children can thrive, follow me, the anti-racist mum, for more uncomfortable truths. And let's take actionable steps together in our homes, our workplaces and communities to ensure inclusion and equity.
So I currently have zero remorse from those Labour MPs that have had the whip removed, right? Keir Starmer, a man that endorsed the starvation of more than 500,000 kids. Is he going to really care about 330,000 of them here? No. You guys all knew what he was about. We have been saying it from the beginning. He's not Labour. In fact, he's probably worse than a Tory. And this is just the beginning of what Labour is going to look like, with Keir Starmer as their leader. Or as some say, Kid Starmer. So you know what? Especially for those Muslim ones, we would have had so much more respect for you guys had you stood as independents at the GE. So a part of me actually says, a hard lesson learned, right? Or probably not. Maybe in 6 months you guys might crawl back to like Labour again. But yeah, we all told you what he was about, and slowly it's being revealed. This is just the beginning.
So even before Rachel Reeves's benefit cuts, 4.5 million children, a third of children in this country, are living below the poverty line. Obviously, after the benefit cuts, this is going to be worse. Now, there is now a bigger gap between rich and poor since before the Napoleonic Wars. In effect, the last 20 years of governance in this country, and I don't see any discernible difference between Labour and Conservative, have just rolled back any benefits that were gained by the compromises made by the ruling elites because of the Industrial Revolution, any moves that were made because of trade unionism, and we've actually reverted back to what Wacott calls normal behaviour, like the 1940s to the 1980s, when we had a welfare system, has now totally disappeared, and we've reverted back to normal. Yeah, and normal being a very small elite of the extremely rich, and almost total eradication of the middle classes and everyone else, the poor. They've done it over since the 1980s, since Thatcher. They've managed to turn back all of the gains made by the working classes. And it's only going to get worse. What do you think? This is why I'm actually interested in criminology, because criminology actually talks about this. Criminology talks about the constant war on the poor. This constant kind of rich versus war battle that's so downplayed by our media, we don't even know it's happening. What do you think anyway? I would like your opinion. Leave it below.
No child should grow up cold, hungry, or hopeless, but in broken Britain, poverty isn't a glitch. It's the outcome of political choices. They tell us there's no money, but there's always money for bankers, bonuses, and bailouts. It's kids who pay the price with their health, education, and future. If this makes your blood boil, good. It should. Keep shouting, keep sharing, keep fighting. And if you believe every child deserves better, subscribe to Brit Rants and join the movement, because silence helps no one, and these kids need voices louder than Westminster's lies.